Welcome to another episode of the Force Dyad Podcast. Wherever, whenever, and however you may be listening, we are honored that you've joined us. We've got a fun episode in store for you today. On this episode, Obi-Sean is back from Disney, going to share thoughts on Galaxy's Edge and Disney in general at Christmas time. And Jedi-John's going to share his unfiltered thoughts on Galaxy's Edge now that he doesn't have to worry about spoiling it. We're going to discuss the recent Galactic Starcruiser trailer and kind of the fallout from that. Discuss the recent Book of Boba teaser and how we're just ready for the show to start. We don't need any more trailers. Stick around. This is where the fun begins. And welcome to episode 18 of the Force Dyad Podcast. I am your host, Obi-Sean, joined as always by my co-host with the most, Jedi-John. How you doing, buddy?
I got the most this time.
You are.
That's so exciting.
You get the most tonight. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing grand. I am back from Disney, fully refreshed. It only took 2 days of being back home with the little one to quickly
Disney
deflate the batteries. But no, yeah, it's the trip overall was great, and I can't wait to talk about some of the things I enjoyed and some of the things I wish they would have done better. So, and I'm interested to get your thoughts now that you don't have to worry about spoiling stuff.
Yeah, no spoilers for Obi-Sean anymore. So
which is nice.
Now it's open field.
It's fair game to shred whatever you want as far as Galaxy's Edge. So we will provide a slight spoiler alert now. If you haven't been to Galaxy's Edge and you don't want any of your experiences tarnished in any way or built up in any way, feel free to
skip ahead.
Through that portion. We'll prep you right before we dive into it. So, but this is your spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Warning.
We're gonna go into everything now.
Yes.
Which is good. It'll be a lot of fun.
It is.
I had to hold back some of my really fun experiences because I wanted you to have the exact same ones. So yeah. Yeah.
So before we do that, we're going to plug the socials real quick. So yeah, you can find us on Twitter at Force Dyad Pod, Instagram and Facebook at Force Dyad Podcast. And then if you're so inclined, you can pop over to our website at forcedyadpod.com. We're actually going to put together a nice little write-up on both of our Galaxy's Edge experiences, complete with photos
with photographs
and maybe some videos for people to enjoy. So that'll probably be going up here in the next few days, I would think. So so that's the socials. Once you're done listening to us, if you fancy other
fandoms,
geeky topics and fandoms, DC, Marvel, comics, video games,
basically everything.
Indeed,
in pop culture that has to do with nerd fandoms.
Exactly.
You can find it
over. With our friends at Galactic Dads at the Galactic Dads Podcast. You can find them on all the social medias at Galactic Dads. But yeah, great group of guys. They have some fun deep dives. They got some beers of the week that they talk about, or that they enjoy. They don't talk about them so much as enjoy them. But
since we were off last week, I got to head over there and record an episode with them too. It was a lot of fun.
That's nice. That's nice of them to let you join.
I know. Yeah, I know. They were so kind.
Yes.
Laser Eric carrying that show all day. Brandon will get that reference. We had a lot of fun. We missed each other. A lot of jabs had to get thrown, during the podcast. So
yeah, I look forward. I'm a couple episodes behind with the travel and everything like that. So I'm looking forward to catching the most recent episode.
It was a fun one. Not ruining it. I really gave Joe President over there a lot of kudos for the episode he did with B. And yeah, there was some fallout there, but it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
they have a lot of fun over there. Go check them out if you have time and if you're interested in other fandoms. But for now, I want to know what you enjoyed about Disney at the holiday time.
Yeah. So before we dive into the Galaxy's Edge centric discussion, which will be the main focus, Disney at the holidays is it's a lot of fun. I mean, as you might expect, Disney does Christmas big. There's enormous Christmas trees everywhere. The resorts themselves have themed garland. Like at the Polynesian, they've got coral and shells in their garland. Wilderness Lodge has earthy stuff that your kid might find on a nature hike, like pine cones and stuff like that. The Grand Floridian has this posh sort of Victorian feel to it. I mean, it's a Victorian hotel as it is. But they've got a life-size gingerbread house there that they actually sell stuff out of. It's real gingerbread. Like, I hope somebody eats it at the end of the holiday. I mean, I really hope it doesn't go to waste.
You should just taken a big handful out of the wall. Just been like, you know what? This is mine.
Well, that was the first night. I didn't want to get thrown off Disney property in the first 5 hours of being there.
That's fair, I guess. Fair.
So, but the sort of holiday themed treats that they have at the different parks was nice. The one thing I missed, having gone there almost 20 years ago now, at Christmas time was, and we talked about this before we started recording, was the lack of Christmas feel in the form of snow. And obviously, being Florida, it's never going to actually snow there. But they do some fun movie trick magic stuff, right, to make it appear like it's snowing. Whether that's I don't know if they do soap flakes or.
I think it's. I'm gonna say it's soap because I feel like it's like more bubble.
I mean, it's not soap. Like I remember when we went before. I was 15, and it flew through the air. It didn't float like a bubble machine, like a sudsy sort of thing. It was almost like a potato flake, like for instant mashed potato type thing. That's kind of what it resembled. But the last time at Hollywood Studios, they had done up the old back lot, and it just covered it in Christmas lights. There was snow everywhere. They had hot cocoa and whatnot. They didn't do that this time. I don't even think that area exists anymore because I think it was taken over by Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
And so, but all that aside, we did the Mickey's Christmas party at Magic Kingdom the night we were there, or the day we went to Magic Kingdom. That was a lot of fun. The fireworks show was great. I mean, overall, it was a phenomenal trip. The weather was spectacular. It was like 80 degrees and sunny all 4 days we were there, and with it being 30 some odd degrees back home, it was a nice break from that. And so, I mean, if you have a chance to do Disney at Christmas time, although Halloween's fun too, the fall is fun as well, because we've done that too, and I know you guys were there.
We just did it, yeah.
During that, and you get the food and wine, Epcot stuff.
Really, any holiday. I mean, they do. I mean, they Disney it up.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and so yeah. If you have a chance to go at the holidays, it's worthwhile. And if you can swing it to stay at a resort hotel, they do it real nice.
And even if you're not staying there, you can always
go visit too.
Yeah,
for sure.
Especially, hey, I'll be the first one to tell you, if you got the kids with you, especially, take a day off in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
No plans, like just take a day off in the parks. That's the day you can go visit some hotels and just go. I mean, really, just go tour around.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what we did with the Grand Floridian. I know they're in the process of overhauling the Polynesian to make it Moana themed. So I imagine that'll be done here in the next few months. So yeah, I mean, the resorts themselves kind of are sometimes little attractions on their own, depending on what it is. So yeah, I mean, the Christmas stuff, it was a blast. But that aside, and I also want to say too, just going with my wife, was fantastic. The reason we went at Christmas was because she'd always wanted to go. And so I surprised her and booked it without telling her. But she enjoyed it. So, so I earned brownie points for that. But yeah, I mean, the thing I was most excited about, as I'm sure you were when you went, was Galaxy's Edge. And so now that I've been, let's start with, I don't know, what were your actual thoughts on your visit? And then I'll share a bit about mine.
Yeah, so I mean, I was pretty candid about my actual thoughts for the most part, without spoiling things. But yeah, I mean, I think I said it on the last podcast that we talked about it. Like, I overhyped it a little bit for myself. So going through that main area that it enters you next to Rise of the Resistance. Gosh, I didn't share this in the last podcast. That we talked about it was my wife videoed me, and because she was excited for me. I mean, that's the best thing when you have somebody that loves you and supports you in what you love. She wanted to see the excitement in my face when I first saw whatever it was I was going to see. And she was like, I was kind of disappointing. And, well, I told you, like, you walk in, like, yeah, I finally got to where the A-Wing was, and then I saw the next wing, and that was cool. But, like, it's not memorable, like, Star Wars, like, your figurehead. Like, what you expect to see when you walk in is, oh, if I saw the Millennium Falcon the first thing, oh my gosh, here we are. But that's like buried in the back of the world, which, hey, that's where they put it. It looks phenomenal when you get to it. But yeah, on first walk in from that side, you're just like, it's Star Wars, but it's not recognizable. Like, it's just, yeah, it's different.
Yeah, and when
it's not bad. It's not bad by any means. It's just like I said, I overhyped it. So I was like expecting to walk in and be like blown away by
surrounded, like almost immediately immersed in it.
Right.
And I don't know if it was there for you guys, but outside Rise, like there were just a bunch of umbrellas to stand. I'm guessing with the queues and stuff like that. Like it was dotted with little tables and umbrellas. And then you've got
a couple shops that were like the fold-up shops.
Exactly.
Like the carts.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. You had the mobile merchandise totes things, and then you had the queues for Rise, and that's really it until, like you said, you kind of come around and it's the A-Wing, or I think it's the X-Wing and the A-Wing, or vice versa. But I took your advice and went the other way through Toy Story World.
Yeah. Smart.
Which was I mean we did do. We milled around in Toy Story World a bit, riding a couple of the rides there before we decided to go in. And similar to you, my wife recorded my entrance into it. And I have to say that having left through the way that you came in, definitely the right is better. Though, and I will say that I got goosebumps and stuff like that just because I was trying to allow myself to enjoy it. And, you come around the corner and you actually get structures, from Black Spire. Like you get the Black Spire structures. But then you walk in and there's a toilet right to the right.
Yeah.
And then there's like a little droid area to the left, which is really cool. And there's a lot of Easter eggs in there that we'll talk about in a little bit. But it was almost like you get the immersion and then immediately you're kind of out of the immersion. And now beyond that, you get like the I don't even know what you'd call it, but it's where we saw Chewbacca when we first walked in.
It's their character area on the left there.
Yeah, and he was like up top.
Yeah,
and which was cool.
Did you get to see Rey there also?
Did see not there. I saw Rey at the Falcon.
Oh,
Rey was walking around the Falcon.
So Rey chilled with Chewie up there,
and the other lady, the other mechanic. So the other mechanic, I don't know what her name is. It was a female mechanic, but she was also at the Falcon.
Okay.
And then we saw Kylo and the First Order Stormtroopers a handful of times throughout the day because we milled about. But walking in through the right side, like you said, was more enjoyable than if I had come in the way that you had on your first visit. And in that area, like I was saying, the Easter eggs with the droids, there's a couple of the Rogers in the case, which if you think about how long those have been there, right? It's almost probably 60 years after
Yeah.
Well, after we first see them in Phantom Menace, right? They're there throughout the entirety of the Clone Wars, but they've probably been in. I mean, how long have those been there? And then also, and I don't know if it's actually what they meant to do, but I feel like there were pieces of R4, both as a lamp, sort of shade his head, and then his body. So they're giving some love to the droid that almost was before R2 took his spot. His bad motivator and all.
There's actually some really cool fan fiction on him. I gotta remember the book now.
Really?
But there's a chapter in the book, and gosh, I will have to find the book now and let everybody know. But it is from R4's
Perspective.
point of view. Yeah. So I think it might actually be called a different point of view. A Star Wars story or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to do with the fact that R2 communicated with him and told him what the mission was prior. So he blew his own motivator
On purpose.
to let R2. Yeah, it's
so
really,
he self-sacrificed.
Yeah, he self-sacrificed
for the good of the cause.
It was such a cool little like mini fan fiction story. Like I couldn't believe it. I was reading it. I'm like, that is the most amazing.
He deserves a medal.
He deserves a medal. But we did get to see R4 in Mando.
That's true.
So it was kind of cool.
With the
cool.
repaired motivator.
Yeah, with the oil. I guess it was oil.
Yeah, the oil burn.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry,
but no, that's fine. And the one of the things I did appreciate from an immersion standpoint is it's not really clear which shops are which. Like, the Aurebesh writing, it's legible where it needs to be. But in other places, it really isn't. Wandering around, I happened to walk into Doc Onders not knowing
it was Doc
Onders. The droid shop, aside from there being droids outside, you wouldn't know. Savvy's is nondescript, and that's part of the play. Because when I walked,
a hidden thing.
When I walked up there initially, I'm like, kind of looking, and the guy with the iPad to check you in for your lightsaber experience, he's like, "Can I help you?" And I'm like, "Is this Savvy's?" And he goes, "I don't know what you're talking about." He's like, I don't know who you are." I was like, "Well, I'm a friend. How do I know you're a friend? I just met you." And I introduced myself. He goes, "All right, it still doesn't make you my friend." I'm like, and then he's like, "Do you have a reservation?" But the play, the cast members, they're acting, the roles that they play, I think helped to make sort of that immersion a bit better. Obviously having, hundreds and hundreds of people around you in shorts and t-shirts don't help. So you kind of have to look through that, to allow yourself to be in it. But walking into the Falcon area the first time, I almost expected it to be more grand. Like, another thing we talked about, again, before we started recording, was the Galactic Suite, the Galaxy's Edge Suite that John Williams was scored. I didn't hear it once the whole time I was in there, which is incredibly disappointing because it's phenomenal. And the ambiance, there's like no music whatsoever playing, throughout the land. Like,
it's a little different.
There's no sound, and maybe it's meant to be, the sound of a market, which it's an outpost, right? So, but aside from the TIE fighter flying over every now and then, or an A-wing or whatever it was, that did make me think to look up because it was done well. There's no ambience to make you feel like you're still in Star Wars. The detail, incredible.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the world looked good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to complain about the world other than the fact that it was just not recognizable Star Wars outside of the Falcon and a couple of ships that were
right
there. But like, because we've never seen those areas on the big screen, so. And that's not a knock to Disney or anybody else. It's just we haven't seen them. So when you're walking in expecting to see something that you immediately connect with because you've been connecting with it for 40 years plus, I'm for us 30 years plus, but
right.
you know, but like for some people that are walking in there, it's 40 years plus, and it's not happening. It's not the same. It's not what was expected, so to speak.
You don't have that emotional connection immediately. And for many fans, the sequel trilogy is not their favorite. And so, that's again, not a ding like on as
I'm only going to say this because it is what it is, but the newest trilogy is never the favorite.
Correct.
I mean,
that's true.
I mean, look what happened with the
prequels.
I mean, come on, like, so really, I expected this to be the least favorite trilogy. Now, in 20 years, when we have maybe, and it might be disconnected trilogies,
right?
We might have other ones that are, oh, well, maybe those weren't so. All of a sudden, to look back, like, I love that one. What are you talking about? Why would anybody bash on that?
Mm-hmm.
So it just, we'll see what happens. But I mean, yeah,
it would have been nice to have, even if you wanted to include stuff from the sequels, you know, with Rey and Kylo and all that, have an area or have some sort of connection to the, I guess in this case it would be the original trilogy, and maybe subsequently like the prequels. Like, you know, you could have it be
all Star Wars,
right? And I mean, I understand that they're somewhat limited on space. However, there is a lot of wasted space where they could have added in another area, whether it's a tie-in to an old.
So I'm not sure if you had time to go to the landing bay, where it is the OT.
No, because apparently
props
nothing's in there.
like that. There's not a lot in there anymore.
Yeah.
Because they moved. I tried to use everything over in Batu, which is, again, totally fine. But like when we walked into the landing bay before, like it was, I mean, props and stuff from the original trilogy, and it did have some of the sequel trilogy stuff in there also, but it also had prequel items, and you can't just ignore pieces. And I think Disney, I mean, rightfully so, because if I owned a property, I would want to push my piece of the property, and their piece currently is the sequels. So, so it is what it is, and it's disappointing because it didn't give me all Star Wars. It gave me their piece of Star Wars, which, if that's what you're pushing, that's fine. I just want it all.
Right, and you could have easily made it. I mean, you could have easily made it Tatooine and made it Mos Eisley, and you could have tied in the Mando, because obviously he goes back. You could easily tie in stuff from Book of Boba, which is coming up. Obviously, of the OT tie-in, you could have made up something that has the first or the Resistance being on Tatooine for some reason. I
mean, you could also have made it separate planets. Like
areas.
Once you cross over, you are now in Tatooine versus you're on Batu, or like, and you probably could have done like a super cool, like gate that like has you transported.
Oh yeah.
Or like similar, like I compared it last time to Harry Potter.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You could have put me on a transport. And put me through
just like they do on Rise.
Yeah,
just like they do on Rise.
Yeah, you could have
the people mover type thing.
Yeah, you could have put me through light speed and said, "Okay, you're now on Tatooine. Congratulations! Like, enjoy your time here." And I would have been sold on it. But hey, it's just my ideas.
Well, and you know, and that's, as fans, you know, we're always going to nitpick things that we want more of, or you know, we want done differently. Like we were talking again before we popped on the recording, was I almost feel like they could have encapsulated the air, you know, the ceiling or the sky, and you know, made it high enough to where you didn't feel claustrophobic or anything like that. But then you could project whatever weather you want, whatever starships you want. You could have you could have ships coming in and out of the landing bay and everything like that, or out of the docking bay, just to kind of give it more. Like, people are looking forward, they're looking up, they're looking around, they're feeling more
immersed
in it, you know. And while the land is very tall, like it feels
high, huge,
it feels huge, you know. I mean, you can still look up at the sky and there's nothing overhead, right? So you don't get and the whole point is to look ahead at what you're seeing. And there is tons to see. We don't want to make this whole discussion super negative because it isn't. There's plenty of positive things, like the little Easter eggs, like the
there's
crates.
Tons of stuff in crates and on the ride queues, and there's so much to look at. It's amazing.
I mean, you've got like Hoth helmets and Endor helmets in like one case, and then they've got like a Rogue One case that has a Scarif Trooper helmet. The A-bomb or the like Y-wing bomber helmets and stuff like that from the Battle of Scarif. They've just got that kind of out in a like a cache, just when you're wandering around. I already kind of talked about the droids where, you've got astromech droids and battle droids.
Yeah, just like hanging out, getting repaired, not getting repaired, just like for sale. Like,
I mean, you walk into Doc Anders, and the upper floor is just amazing. I mean, it's props galore. It's helmets. There's a Wampa. There's a Tauntaun on the wall. There's holocrons. I got asked about. I texted you about. I got asked about this blue Sith holocron, and I'm like, you're standing in line to look at the lightsabers, and the guy's like, I'm talking to him. I was like, oh, there's this helmet. And he's like, so I see you're a fan. I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of. Kara's laughing at me the whole time. And he's like, okay, all right, I got a question for you. And he goes, Sith holocrons are red. They're pyramids. I'm like, yeah. He goes, and the Jedi holocrons are blue. And they're cubes. Yeah. Well, can you explain why there's a Sith holocron up there that's blue? And I look up, and there's a pyramid that's blue. And I'm like, So I came up with this answer that was like, maybe it was a holocron from before the 100 Years Darkness and before the Sith were born out of the Jedi, or, born out of the Force, the way, because everybody was friends at one point, and then, you had the schism. And he looks at me and he goes, and I thought he's blowing smoke. He's like, that's like the best answer I've heard in 2 years. I'm like, yeah, you're totally BSing me right now. And he's like, no. And he goes, it's wrong. He goes, but no, it's like the best answer I've heard in 2 years. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I felt good about that, even though I was wrong. And then I started Googling blue Sith holocrons, and I can't find nothing. So maybe there is no story behind it, but
Doc Anders has a lot to look at, though.
Tons.
It's because you sent me that text with a picture of it, obviously, and I'm like, nobody asked me about that, but I bet I got it on my camera because I took a big pano of the room, and it was so funny because I took it and I sent it to you, and you're like, I think we got the same picture.
We had almost the exact same photo. Yeah. I think I started slightly more to the right than you did, but
it was really funny.
It's identical. And if you're not going to build a saber at Savvy's, that's where you're going to go to get your sabers.
Yeah.
Now they were pretty much sold out of everything that apparently they're going to retire Obi-Wan's. Like Obi-Wan's never coming back, which is really sad.
It wasn't there when I was there, so.
Because he said, yeah, it's slated for retirement. I'm like, no. Vader, his Garflex wasn't there. Yeah, I know. You got that one. Dooku wasn't there. The only thing they had was they had Ben Solo's, which was actually really cool.
It looks really good.
The Ben Solo saber looks really good. They had Ahsoka's two katanas like you have. They had Leia's. What was they had 5. I can't remember the 4th. And then the 5th was the Youngling Slayer 3000. And
yes.
And I refer because I asked if he had if they had a Vader one. He goes, no. And he goes, well, we have Anakin's, and the one that was destroyed, and it's got a cool leather band around the middle of it, and it did look cool because I actually held it. And he goes, and if you can live with what that thing did, then by all means. And I go, oh, you mean the Youngling Slayer 3000? And he goes, we can't say that here. He goes, I said that and my boss yelled at me. I can't remember this guy's name, but he was fantastic. And I'm like, yeah, the older fans will think that's funny. Like, right. You can't go up to a kid and say that.
No.
But I mean,
they would have been murdered.
if you would have if you would have said it to someone my age, or I mean, we're the same age, but someone like us who grew up with the prequels, you know, you can say it in jest and get a giggle out of it.
Yeah.
And so I held that particular saber, and then I quickly gave it back because it's $220 for that saber.
Oh, I was thinking that you felt the hate start to run through you. You had to give it up.
I did.
You know?
I did. That was it. It was the hate that my wallet was screaming at me. Please hand it back because I'm about to be abused when you go to Savvy's.
Right.
So, but I mean, the food and stuff. I enjoyed the blue milk. I don't know which did you try?
Yes, well, Olivia, my wife, and I, we both had we did one green, one blue.
Okay.
We tried both.
Did you get the booze in it?
No, we did not.
Okay.
We just went with plain blue milk.
The blue with the rum was
choice.
It was choice. Anything that I could put alcohol into, I pretty much the whole trip, not just to Galaxy's Edge.
To be fair, I did have my fair share at Oga's when I went, so I ran up quite a tab there.
Did you guys have a high top or a table when you were there?
We were at the bar.
Oh, you were at the bar?
Yeah, we got to sit at the bar.
Oh,
so which that was
you got
cool.
to stand at the bar.
Stand at the bar, yeah. There's no sitting.
There's no sitting at the bar.
But standing at the bar was fun.
And what drinks did you end up having?
A few.
Well, I remember you sending me the picture, and I was trying to figure out where you took the photo from, because I think it was on the long side of the bar. You were on one of the long ends, right? Not where it curved around.
When you go in, if you went to the right,
okay,
I was on the flat side of the bar on that side.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah, very, very cool drinks there. I had a couple beers, a couple mixed drinks.
The whole ambiance is, I mean, it's really cool.
It's fantastic.
And I know when I was there, because you were saying that this did not happen to you, the hyperdrive kicked off and all the power shut off. The DJ stopped playing the music, and what was funny was all of the staff. You know, it's a show, right? It's an act. And so after smacking it, as I would, with a hammer a few times, it kicks back on, and they can start serving drinks again. Because that's the thing, if they don't get it powered back up, they got to throw everybody out. That's the scene anyways. And so, but yeah, like the feel within the cantina is how I wish it felt more like when you were out and about. You know, like you have that. It feels like Star Wars, you know,
right.
and not to say that the rest of Galaxy's Edge doesn't feel like Star Wars. It's just, you know, and I wouldn't even say that the COVID stuff with the masks and everything, because now, you know, when you're outside, you don't have to be masked up. It's only when you're in the queues and inside buildings and stuff like that. So I wouldn't even say that was really a detracting thing. It's just, it felt like everywhere I turned, it was a shop, a stall, merchandise, you know, and
I did find the beers I tried there.
Did you? Okay, what do you got?
So I tried the Gold Squadron Lager.
Okay.
The Gamorrean Ale, which is a red ale, and then the White Wampa Ale, which is a wheat beer.
That was the one that I had.
And yeah, very good stuff. My wife got mixed drink. My mother-in-law got a mixed drink, and I also got a mixed drink. Well, I got the
you got the Tauntaun, right?
I got the what was it?
The fuzzy Tauntaun?
My wife got that, so I tried it. I tried it with her.
Okay.
And then my mother-in-law got something that bubbles.
That's the Bespin Fizz, I think.
Yeah, and then I had the it was like the rum. It was like the
Yum Nub.
Yum Nub. I had that on one of them, and then I filled my Yum Nub, the
cup.
Yeah, whatever cup it was, with the Wampa on the way out.
Oh, and you walked around with that. Okay.
Yeah, because they had to, they keep you down to like 45 minutes in there because they're like, we have to roll.
Yeah, they got to cycle you out in a reasonable amount of time, and they don't. I also think they do that to keep people from getting too sloshed.
I did my best.
That's also, I think, why
I'm sure
the alcohol is so expensive, is to try and
deter,
dissuade people from drinking more than they should.
I brought my Disney credit card. It's fine.
Get that 2% back.
Yeah, they weren't giving me anything. Oh, yeah, back.
Like
there was no
back,
discount.
Right?
Yeah, there was no discount there.
You get that in points to use next time you visit.
Right.
But so, and you guys didn't eat outside of other than the charcuterie and ogas, right?
Yeah, because everything we were the first day we were there, everything else was kind of shut down. I mean, it was the 50th anniversary day, so Hollywood Studios was pretty barren, which was nice because I got to walk on to Smuggler's Run and stuff like that. So, which is a good transition. Like, let's talk about
let's talk the
rides.
rides. Let's start with the one that probably disappointed us the most, and then we'll finish with the one that was best, and that's Smuggler's Run was.
It's cool if you're the pilot. Like, it's fun if you're the pilot once.
But nobody. But that's the thing. Everybody wants to be a pilot,
right?
You don't go on a Millennium Falcon ride and want to be anything other than Han and or Chewie.
Yeah, and especially when your job is to literally smash a button, and that's all you.
That
do.
was me. That was me. So Kara and I were we were gunners, which is a shame because we literally got shot out of the sky because I was pressing what I thought was my button, but it was a different button.
They flash, don't they?
Well, I was trying not to get motion sick because if you look left, and I'm gonna lose. If you look left to look at the buttons, while the screen and everything dips away, you lose frame of reference. I don't get motion sick ever. That ride made me motion sick.
Well, if you're the gunner, that chair swivels and stuff, and you don't know the way that thing's going to go. I know.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't swivel. That's the thing. I was like, oh, I'm going to turn sideways. And I'm like, nope, I am going to be facing straight forward.
See, that would be the thing that if they made the gunner, at least give me a joystick to shoot at stuff.
Correct.
Like, give me something. Like, this is so easy to do.
I mean,
give me a screen and give me a joystick that I have to focus on.
Exactly, because that's the thing. Like, the two gunners, they're controlling a laser each. Mm-hmm. And so if you're not both pressing at the same time, you're just shooting one laser at a time. And, it's not as effective shooting down TIE fighters.
Interesting.
With a single laser. So, and then poor engineers, I'm an engineer in my day life, and I don't know what that was, but shooting a cable to try and stop, the train, it felt like if I had stood in line for an hour and 15 minutes and been thrown in that gunner seat, and that was my experience on that ride, and I wasn't going to ever ride it again, I would have been really disappointed. Now, I was still kind of disappointed, but we didn't have to stay in line because we did take advantage of the lightning lane system, which is now in place. Which I did feel like was worth
the Genie.
No. So this was so the Genie Plus system.
Oh yeah.
But Genie Plus is available for Smuggler's Run, but not for Rise. So you have to buy the individual lightning lane for Rise if you want to do that. But I just feel like for what Smuggler's Run is, either, and I know that you can't really do this because the line would take. It would take forever, is to have everyone be a pilot. So what you do then is make it kind of like, which is not what you want, but it's like Star Tours, but just allow everyone to be a passenger, and then have like Han and Chewie flying it, even if it's veteran Han and vet Chewie, flying the Falcon. That way everyone gets the same experience, because there's no guarantee that if you ride it again, you're going to get a different role. And I guess you'd be like, hey, I want a pilot, but everyone's going to probably ask to be a pilot. So the cast members are probably told, don't, it's like asking to be at the front of a roller coaster. They're like, you're going to go stand here, you're going to go stand here to help keep the line moving. So, being that there's no guarantee that if I want to be a pilot or I want to be a gunner or whatever, now maybe you have different lines so that if there are people who don't care, they can go faster, and enjoy their experience and then move on.
You're like single rider line?
Kind of.
You're not a pilot line.
I mean, that's basically what it is, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess that is the single rider line, is the you don't want to be a pilot line. I feel like there was more that they could have done with it, and they just kind of, I don't know, they half-assed it, basically. I mean, it could have been so much better, you know. And you got Hondo, and I like the Hondo animatronic was
great.
Was great. I took a picture of it, like, it's Hondo. Yeah. I wanted more.
Yeah, makes sense. And like I got to pilot it.
Lucky.
And it was a lot of fun. And the second time I went, we got paired with a kid and a dad. And the dad was super nice, but like he was just like, my kid really wants to fly it. And I'm like, I already did, so he can go do it. And I was a gunner. And yeah, it's just not the same experience.
I mean, you just sit there smashing a button, and then you don't even get control. Like, I want to fire missiles the whole time. No, you get to fire missiles when they tell you can fire missiles, which is baloney. I'm going to use all the missiles if I want to use the missiles. So I don't know. It's an okay ride, but you know, if you're not piloting it, it's definitely a different experience.
It's fun one time.
Yeah,
like it's fun one time if you're the pilot, and then other than that,
right. So, but pivoting now to the ride that is great was Rise.
It's fantastic.
It's amazing. Now we lightning laned it, so I don't know what the queue's like, if the queue is cool or not.
Yeah, I mean, there's some spots where there's like cool props and stuff. I mean, same thing. Like there's those like weapons cache, pilot lockers and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like you get to see, which I mean, super cool. Like, you see X-wing full like pilot suits.
Oh,
and,
cool.
Like it's cool. I mean, it literally is like pilot lockers.
Mm-hmm.
So they got all the gear in there, weapons. I really enjoyed the queue for that. Now, also, I enjoyed not waiting in the queue.
Because you took advantage of
the ride swap.
You did the ride swap.
The second time there, and yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun though. But the entire experience with the cast members there for the Rise of Resistance was a blast.
It's incredible.
I mean, they drill you like they are.
And if you want to play along, like if you want to play back,
Oh yeah,
they'll play with you. Like the reveal, like when you're on the transport and you get pulled into the First Order starship, Star Destroyer, and the door opens and the First Order officer walks on and they're like, you know, it's like, and then you walk out the door, like, oh my, that room
is amazing.
Is incredible.
With not a full battalion, but I mean,
there's I think it's 50
of,
you know, First Order Stormtrooper animatronic. I think they're animatronics
Some
too,
of them are, yeah.
Or not animatronics, but like, you know, the robots. But then you've got the screen behind that has stuff going on. You've got, you know, out space. It's like it's the ray shield sort of setup, like in the hangar bay. You know, and I think they've got actual cast members who are First Order Stormtroopers off to the left, like because they forward you to the right or they move you to the right to line up. But like there's like the ride car there, and they've got the undercover droid who ends up being your pilot, right? And then you walk down the hallway into another queue. But typically at this point you're not waiting in a very long line, and then you go for your interrogation with more first order officers, and that's the play. Did you play along with them when you were in line?
Well,
or not when you were in line, but when you were waiting for interrogation.
The times in that section, like there were some kids that kind of stole the show. You know what I mean? Like, because who doesn't like when the kids play along? You know, so they didn't really act in with the adults a whole lot. Like they would like tell us where to go, and then maybe give us like a quick like one liner or something like that, and then. But there was always like a younger kid that was the center of attention,
right?
And it was just fun. I mean, but it was a lot of fun with them because some of them were scared, and then some of them were talking back a lot. And then, because like the one got told like, if you're going to talk back like that, you're not going to like the next person you talk to. And I'm like,
nice.
Oh, all right, I mean, hey, why not, right? But it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was fun seeing them like just berate like. And even with the adults, they were like, you're just going to sit there in silence the whole time? You're not going to say anything? You're just going to stare at me? Yeah, it was like, oh, get them.
You can tell that those cast members have a lot of fun with their job, you know, and then you know, you think you're going on the ride and then you're in a room and you're like, and that part was kind of cool too. And then the door,
you get interrogated a little bit, and then and, you know, the thing happens.
Yep.
And then you get to your ride,
and then you're on the ride, and I mean, the use of the animatronics is great. I mean, the cannon, the ion cannon room where you're just like, and it's like they're actually moving,
really cool
to a point.
Yeah, really cool though.
I just, and
I will say both ride areas are it depends on what car you're in, whether you're in the left or the right.
Yeah,
because you do go down different routes, and it is cool being on one side once and then one side the other, because you get to see a different fin, animatronic, depending on the side of the ride.
Yeah, see, I didn't actually see the Finn one. I missed it.
You just didn't see him?
I didn't see him.
Oh, because he's on both sides.
Because he's like ducked. I think ours was like ducked down behind a crate or something like that on the side. Because I went back and I watched a YouTube video on it of the ride, and I was like,
yeah, he's taking cover.
Because in the walker room, which
is amazing,
incredible.
The walker room is incredible. Like, you want to talk about feeling like you're in Star Wars?
Holy crap.
When you look up and you see a full-size walker in front of you, you're like...
And it felt full-size. Like, it felt full on, this thing could crush me. That was Kara's favorite part of the ride, was going into that room and just feeling so tiny next to it.
It was so awesome. The whole ride, I mean, they do such a great job with that ride, and you're completely immersed in it. And that's what I hope. Like, that's what is so tough for me to swallow too, is like, I wish that the whole world felt like that ride, because it could, and
well, and I don't know, and we'll get to kind of what we hope the future is for the area, but the current climate, the inability to mingle how we would like,
COVID climate.
I think if you had the characters walking around like they were back in 2019, you kind of get that more feel like you're actually in the world with them, as opposed to them being separated off and away, and I think that, and you talked about it when you got back from your visit, is that does kind of pull you out of it a little bit. But what if you could add like one thing to without changing? Okay, you can go to Hoth here, Endor here, whatever. Like, within the existing envelope, what would you like to see them add or adjust?
It's so tough. The one thing that I miss probably the most, from even the landing bay days at Disney, I want to see more characters that are recognizable to everybody. Now, while I enjoy the new movies, I enjoy Rey, Chewie was there, Kylo was there, First Order Stormtroopers were there, great. Where's a section with Vader? Where's a section with like Cantina Band? Like, where are the things that I also want to see, or like Maul or whatever? Like, in Hollywood studios, they used to do the parade of Star Wars characters. They don't do that, and I don't know if COVID has to do with that getting shut down, but they used to do the March to the First Order. And
well, they used to do the thing outside of Star Tours where Vader would come out, and they did like they did
the Jedi training,
the training stuff,
yeah. So like, they used to do these things at Disney even, and I don't know if COVID kind of took over for some of it, which I'm
probably
sure
penny pinching.
I'm sure, well, maybe
it's Disney,
but spare no expense. But like, even the character parade, I mean, it had Darth Maul in the character parade, it had Rey, it had Boba, it had characters you wanted to see in the parade, and those characters were not to be found. So and I don't know if it was COVID, like I said, but I would have liked more character action, engagement
for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the one big thing I missed.
Yeah, and I don't know. That's a good point. I mean, you could easily, well, it would be kind of difficult to mix in OT characters into that world, because technically most of them don't exist. So you would have to have some sort of partition off of it. But like we talked about at the very beginning, there's a lot of areas where you've got a ship here or a ship here, but there's a ton of open space. I mean, they could take out some of the shops and make it more. You could add in like photo ops like you were talking about with, have a Mos Eisley Cantina thing with Greedo and Han, and there's your photo op. Or we talked about
earlier. Well, that was before the cast though, because I said that.
Yeah.
Not
have a Mos Eisley Cantina.
Yeah, like what if we had a Mos Eisley Cantina where one of the photo ops, one of the tables was purely a photo op because it was a table with Han and Greedo, and yeah, that would be like, why wouldn't you do something like that? Like, I mean.
Yeah, and
it would have, and you could charge they could have charged for it, like, and people would pay to sit there
for sure, because you could come in from the back. The photo pass person could be right there.
Yeah,
and they do these things now with the Magic where they add in stuff post photo, where I'm sure they could add in stuff like that too. But we also talked.
Yeah, but if you have two props there with like one person holding a gun, or both people could be holding a gun, and then you see a blaster.
Well,
fire.
They should be the make the animatronics, like make them real, use the air quotes there, but we also talked a couple weeks ago about turn the ships into opportunity, photo opportunity. Imagine going to the cockpit of the X-Wing or the A-Wing or the Falcon, sitting there and getting a picture taken. Like, that seems really small and insignificant, but it would be something that I think a lot of people would love to do. And I don't know if you could have like an X-Wing, like a Rogue Squadron type ride where, I guess it'd be kind of like Toy Story Mania or whatever, something like that. But I mean, overall, we spent probably 8 hours there. So like in Galaxy's Edge, like we didn't leave, just because it was fun. So, I can't sit here and say that it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
It was a blast. So, there's just some things that, having been there now,
would like to see a little different,
tweaked a little bit.
Favorite experience for me was, Doc Onders was awesome. The Cantina was awesome, but walking to Savvy's and walking out with my lightsaber that I got to make with the experience there.
We didn't even talk about Savvy's.
I know we haven't talked about it yet. Was just phenomenal, and I know we don't want to make this too long, obviously, but. The Savvy's experience was amazing. I obviously didn't share the video with you that I took, my wife took of me while I was in there because I didn't want to spoil the experience for you. But it was amazing.
It was awesome.
When after you're done building it and you get to ignite your lightsaber and pick it up for the first time, illuminated, it feels amazing. It
felt very High Republic, for Light and Life. Everyone igniting their sabers at once. And when they're explaining the crystals and the Force theme plays, when they go, the green Kyber crystal, and Luke's theme plays, and you're just like I'm getting goosebumps now.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is so well done that, yes, it's expensive.
But if you're a Star Wars fan and you enjoy lightsabers,
do it. And getting it home on the plane, don't worry about it. You can throw it under the seats, long ways. I was worried about that getting it home, but it was nothing.
It was super simple.
It was super easy.
No one in the airport even questions it.
They're
like, look at that lightsaber.
I threw it through TSA, and I was like, all right, they're probably going to ask me, because mine had the Rancor. I did the Rancor horn at the bottom. I'm like, okay, so I actually have a pointy object on the bottom of my hilt.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't care. So
they know what it is.
They're not worried about Rancor horns.
They're used to it.
Or Rancor teeth.
All that stuff.
Rancor teeth.
Yeah.
But that whole experience was just, and the story centers around Rey, and she's the spark, and everyone in the room is the next order of Jedi. Although, somebody's gonna build the power and strength and power with the red lightsaber crystal. And was it you?
Duh.
No, that wasn't you.
No,
I
didn't.
Green.
I did do strength and power though.
And you went with the green.
Green.
So if Luke had turned, that would have been his.
Could have been it.
Been his saber. Yeah. I went with the elemental nature.
I almost went purple. Was it? No.
Oh, that would have been cool.
I did end up buying it purple.
So you bought the extra Kyber crystals?
Crystal, because I wanted to be able to change to purple.
For sure. Yeah, again, if your wallet allows it, do it. It's a phenomenal experience.
And now, neither one of us did the Droid Factory.
No.
I hear it's a blast.
It does look cool.
Definitely. I think it's probably more cool for younger fans. But I did have a friend that did it. She said it was phenomenal. She had a blast.
Because it's the same price as Savvy's. So I mean,
the only thing that she said was like kind of a pain was the fact that you do have a droid the rest of the day that you have to carry around somehow, and they sell you a backpack, or they give you
like a cardboard,
like a Build-A-Bear box.
Yep.
And you're stuck with it the rest of the day unless you can get out to your car or whatever else.
And it's in pieces too. Like there are certain components that I think, like on the BB units and stuff like that, they come apart.
But also, while you're in Galaxy's Edge, your droid will interact with the environment a little bit. So, and there's no way to turn it off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. So it's like a Furby.
Yeah. Yeah. She said it was really cute and fun, and it interacted with other droids and stuff like that. So, she had a blast with it. But for me, looking at something like that, I'd much rather go build a saber than build my droid. And like you said, they're the same price. So in some cases, you got to choose what you're going to do, and I'm going saber.
Yeah, I mean, you've got what four hilts, but you've got a mix within each hilt. So theoretically, I think you could probably end up building 60 or 70 different sabers and not have the same combination.
Yeah, not the exact same at least. Yeah,
right. So there is a lot of randomization. Like you get full play to pick whichever set you want.
And I assume they're going to start interchanging some pieces here and there, so returning customers will have something completely different to build within the same element or like strength and power or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it was.
But yeah, Savvy's was just amazing. I'm not going to downplay it at all.
No.
Like it's an experience that I would tell every Star Wars fan to go through to build your own lightsaber.
Ogas, Rise, Savvy's, Doc Onders.
Yeah, must
like
do's.
they're all like, again, if your wallet allows it.
And the market was a lot of fun. Like the market was fun to interact because even though it is, I mean, you're paying for Disney products, but like interacting with the cast members in the market was a lot of fun. There was people like, just as you would see in the Star Wars world, like trying to sell you on whatever it was. I mean, yeah, they were for purchase and they were random animals and stuff like that animatronically moved and stuff like that. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
My favorite piece of merchandise, and that'll be the last thing I mention about this, is they had Life Day stuffed animals. They had Life Day Chewbacca's.
Tell me about that.
They had Life Day shirts. And so I was like, this is awesome because they're even, they're celebrating the Star Wars holiday of Life Day, and
it's a very important day.
It's fantastic. So, which if you haven't seen the Lego Star Wars cartoon on Disney Plus, it's solid. It centers around Life Day. So,
but that's good.
But yeah, so that's like the visit to Disney / mostly Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
To pivot briefly, I don't know how long we've been recording for, but because it is a late night, it's 11:45 on Saturday.
Yeah, we're doing good considering that I have a toy show in the morning.
Well, I'll be there too.
Yeah,
but
as early as me.
That's true. We'll talk briefly about the Galactic Starcruiser trailers and the fallout from that. I showed you before we started recording both the lightsaber training sneak peek as well as the almost 3 minute long trailer, which actually Disney took down for a period of time. I don't know that it's back up. It may still be down. But the Galactic Starcruiser is blasting off here in less than 4 months. And
I'm just going to...
Yeah. So, share your thoughts. You've got the fresh in your mind. You can talk about the lightsaber one. Or
I didn't watch any reviews or anything. I
showed it to you right before we hit record.
Just watch this video. And all I'm going to say is, why didn't they get people that were fans to do these activities with them? Like, I understand you had to get an actor to do certain things, but the dude that did the lightsaber training was embarrassing.
He's in charge of all of Disney parks. So that's Josh DeMaro, I think is his name. He's in charge. He is the president
I didn't know that.
Of Disney parks.
Yeah, so why didn't they get a guy that knew what Star Wars was?
Or how to bend his wrist?
Yeah. It was the lightsaber. The lightsaber training actually looks like it would be a lot of fun, especially when it starts picking up pace and stuff like that, because it looked like it sped up as you went on in the training. And I think that would honestly be a blast. That guy made it look like...
He didn't sell you.
it was the worst pain in his life. And he definitely does not play video games, as we saw on the bridge when he was using the joystick to do. I don't even know what he was doing.
He was supposed to aim the turbo laser so that
it was a joystick to aim your cursor. Like literally, this dude would not be good at Pac-Man.
It was basically a game you'd see at Dave and Buster's.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's basically Dave and Buster's. So you're paying $5,500 to play a big Dave and Buster's game.
But yeah, he was taking it in like a full rotation on the joystick. Anyway, but that's the guy that runs it. I mean, good for him.
He's in charge of Disney parks.
He probably has a lot of different skills than me.
And a lot more money than I do.
Yeah, 100%. But I can definitely wield a lightsaber better than that dude.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got a banged up shoulder. I had surgery 8 weeks ago on my shoulder, and I would be able to handle a lightsaber better than that guy did. And
they should have just pulled someone out of Savvy's who was just coming out of Savvy's and been like, "Hey, can you swing the saber?" But I mean, obviously it's for social media, so it's got all the fluff and stuff like that.
Then give an Imagineer the saber. I bet he would do a better job. Do the guy that created it, and then he can talk about what they did in the background.
That's true.
Like, oh my gosh,
give really the technical background.
Really let the nerds nerd out. Like, Disney marketing department, if you need help, I'm really not available, but I'll try my best.
Well, and I mean, when you're doing lightsaber training, and it's meant to be like a remote, everybody thinks of Luke on the Falcon with the helmet training against the remote. Now, you almost could, because of the quick adoption of VR, you could easily make like a helmet. And I did see this on YouTube, so I'm not going to claim this as an original idea, but this is a genius idea, is to have like a VR setup with the helmet. And they already have Vader Immortal, they have Beat Saber, stuff like that. You could easily
incorporate
do saber training that way. And yes, I realize they want you to have the physical saber, but you could put the VR controls in the physical saber, so when you move the saber in your hand, it moves the saber on your screen.
The only thing I would worry about that is safety concerns. If you have too many people in there, because in the video you saw how many panels they had.
Yeah.
So they might be worried about if you're not used to VR. I mean, have you ever seen somebody that's not used to VR get on VR?
No.
It's a nightmare.
Is it funny?
It's hilarious.
I should look this up.
It is a hilarious nightmare if you're near them, because they just don't understand that they don't actually physically.
They don't have to move.
They don't.
They can just stay in place.
Yeah. But yeah, it's funny to watch. But so I think it's probably a safety concern. If you're giving somebody something that they can.
Okay, but I'm paying $6,000 or $5,500 to $6,000 for a trip.
Yes,
you can give me enough space.
But the 50-year-old that's never done VR, who actually has the money to go do this.
Why is there a 50-year-old? I mean, I guess you. I mean,
what do you mean? Why is there a 50-year-old
doing lightsaber training?
Why wouldn't he be doing lightsaber training? He was 10 when the first Star Wars came out.
Okay, that would be cool.
I mean,
but then give them something that is cool.
Yeah, a VR would be cool.
So let them do it.
But what if they've never done VR and they start swinging the lightsaber around and hit somebody in the head?
Okay, so you got the muster drills right at the beginning of your trip. If you want to go and do it, right? Because that's the whole point of this thing. Is it's supposed to be a build your own adventure sort of thing.
Yeah. You don't have to do everything.
You don't have to do it. So if you want to do it, you go and you do a 15-minute, 20-minute. Here's how you do VR thing.
So now I'm paying $5,500 to learn how to do VR.
So that you can enjoy the experience. No, I would just say, let me go and make a fool of myself and swing a saber around a room. You could put 10 people in a room, make it, and I mean,
I understand what you're saying.
You've seen the building. The building is large.
I'm on your side. I think they probably could do it, but I think that the reason why they didn't do VR is for safety concerns with a full lightsaber.
Okay, but here's the thing, right? So you're telling me, and you're right, there were a bunch of spots on the floor. So that means that everything is the same pattern. You're not going to have overlapping patterns. because you can't have someone going like this and someone else going like this.
Did you see
and,
that
and
guy's movement?
I'm crossing the sabers.
Did you see that guy's movement?
I'm crossing the streams
He would
here.
probably hit the guy next to him with his body.
Yeah.
Because
he's
of how much he was moving.
He's going to hip check the guy
He
next
was
to
doing
him.
dance moves instead of moving his blade.
So that's the thing. Like, if there's going to be safety concerns there, let me be in VR and hit somebody accidentally in VR.
Somebody's in my way. Somebody's out of their spot.
But that's the thing. Like, you're deflecting
yeah,
laser blast.
Yeah.
You're not swinging it.
You're not supposed
you
to
shouldn't be swinging
there
it.
You go. There you go.
So, I mean, yes.
Anyway, but
everyone should be able to do. I didn't mean to be like to imply that there's an age limit. Although I was told last time I went to Hollywood Studios I couldn't be in Jedi Academy because I was too old, which was baloney. So I will say that you shouldn't. Anyways,
no, but so to move on from the Jedi training, because that was just one part of the video that I watched. Obviously, we got to see some of the hallways, which they look like. All the walls were done up really nice, and then the ceiling was just plain ceiling, which it's still a hotel. So I mean, there's things that have to be built in and stuff. You probably could have done something with the ceiling, but hey, whatever.
You could have made it textured at least.
Yeah, we saw the bridge.
Yeah,
many times. It looks like a lot of flashing buttons and a couple joysticks, and it'd be really cool for a 10-year-old. And actually, by the time they're 12. They've probably seen more in COD. So while it looks cool and immersive, it does look immersive. Like I feel like the activities would get you in the mood,
But we haven't seen any of them.
Yeah, those are the only two things we've seen. And I saw one person do it really poorly, and then the other person really didn't do anything. They just like talked about it, and it didn't look like Star Wars.
Right.
It looked like nothing that we've ever seen in Star Wars.
I mean, it did kind of remind me. So, like, the hallway kind of reminded me of, like, the Tantive 4.
Oh, yeah. The hallways looked Star Wars.
Like, so,
I mean, the bridge.
And
I'm
if I
talking
had,
about just the bridge.
Right. And so, if I had to imagine what the bridge kind of looks like, I mean, in a ship like the Tantive 4, which I realize they're different ships, but it could look like that. It just, I think part of the issue.
But every bridge that we've seen in Star Wars,
it feels too clean.
Yeah.
Which I realize it's new. I realize it's new. But it almost looks cheap.
But like think about like all the bridges that we've seen, like all the Imperial bridges that we've seen on big Star Cruisers, all the Separatist bridges that we've seen, all the Republic bridges. Like none of them
doesn't look like any of them
have that setup. Like none of them. Not remotely the same.
Right.
So why would they build something that is completely opposite of what Star Wars fans know and relate to
and would expect? And
anyway, that's what I got from the video. Like that's and the little lounge area that was. I mean, the lounge looked cool.
Yeah.
The singer. I mean, if that's what they're doing, that's their theme. It's hard to argue because they made a theme.
Right.
It's Star Wars. Cool.
Yeah, well, and that's the cantina or the lounge scene. I mean, the singer was fine. She was very good.
Yeah, she's a good singer.
It reminded me of the scene from The Fifth Element when she walked out. And that's not on her. Like that's just how it was.
Couldn't book the cantina band. Huh? You just couldn't book them.
It just didn't feel like we've already said it. It doesn't feel. And maybe it was because of the other patrons who were enjoying the show. They didn't like fit in. Like there were no characters. Like they were all just humans. Which, okay,
obviously,
yes, I realize there's going to be humans on the ship, but like if you want to again make it feel like there are other species commingling, which again it's supposed to be an immersive experience, you're paying a lot of money for. You're going to have other characters. You can't just have the singer be the only character in the whole room. Like
we don't know if they're going to add stuff to it. I mean, it was just
they have 3.5 months before their first voyage.
Maybe they were hiding the animatronics in the
but
side.
Why? Like so let's get to that point. So this video came out last week when I was in Disney, and it was received poorly, to say the least. And Disney
took it poorly, so
Disney took it down. Like and there were websites that had it embedded where like it's been wiped, right? And again, I don't know if it's been put back or not,
Well,
but as of
Disney has a lot of pull.
as of a couple days ago, it was still completely gone. And the way that the reservation system works with Galactic Starcruiser is you put 20% down, and then at 90 days out, you got to pay the rest. Well, 90 days out from December 1st is March 1st, which is when the first voyage goes off. And so this dropped right around the time that those first voyages came time to pay their bill. And, well, if you check the availability calendar, there were quite a few dates that re-popped back up.
Because they were booked through July.
They were booked. The first 4 months, according to the Disney CEO, were completely booked.
Yeah, I mean, when you went on to look at it, like, it was booked out.
Yep, so March through June were completely ate up. And so the first 4 months, right? And so after this video dropped and then was subsequently removed, there were dates in March that were available. There were dates in April that were available. There were dates in March, May, and June that were available.
These could just be coincidences.
I think not. So, but I mean, that's the thing. So I asked you again before we started recording when I showed you the videos, if you had put up 20%, so $1,200 if you're a family of 4, are you paying the remaining $4,800 for, again, mind you, 2-night experience, what appears to be just 4 or 5 hours in Batu, which technically you can do everything in 4 or 5 hours if you want to. You do get a ticket to Hollywood Studios, but that's it. I believe your food's included. Non-alcoholic beverages are included. And then presumably whatever entertainment is on the ship is
but
included.
you get to, like, LARP for 2 days.
I don't see that. So that's the thing, right? I think they're limiting the type of costumes you can wear.
Well, I think that they said during the Disney Plus 23 or the Disney 23, whatever it was, Expo, that 501st are welcome.
Okay, why? But
like, a helmet's probably not, because helmets are that's the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you could build your whole armor set and walk around with your helmet and arm and like be a character on the ship.
Well, so the question then is, when you go to Batu, you can't do that.
You're right.
You're not allowed to cosplay in Batu. You can dress like it, but you can't cosplay.
Right. So you wouldn't be able to do everything in your cosplay.
Right. And so maybe people will do that, but for the money, they should allow you to pick a costume. They should allow you to pick what you want to be before you get there. Like, all right, I'm a 44 and waist, and I've got a 54 chest or whatever it is. Find me a smuggler's outfit, a fat smuggler's outfit that I can be, or resistant, or
I did hear the merch that they're gonna have on the Starcruiser is exclusive, and some of them are like some of the best prop type merch.
That's great. It's extra, cost extra.
Yes, it does.
So it should be included for that much money.
Well,
for 2 days.
2 days.
I just don't see the value. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. Like, from these videos that they're trying to sell us on.
Like I said, like, so that's why I wasn't the first one in line to book it right away.
Right.
I want to see what it is. I want to hear reviews, and then I want to make a decision.
Non-biased reviews. Like not from Disney employees.
Right.
Because you said that...
Ashley Eckstein posted an Instagram video. Some of the stuff she had talked about looked really cool. Mm-hmm. Like, she said she really enjoyed the lightsaber training and stuff like that. Yep. Like I said, it does
look fun.
After, just watching the video, because I hadn't seen anything about it. It looks like it would be fun if you knew how to handle anything in your arm. Mm-hmm. That dude never played sports in his life. Sorry. Go play tennis. Just figure it out.
Yeah.
God, that was
terrible. As an executive, he's played golf once or twice.
I'm not. Yeah, but that's not.
I mean, hinge your wrist, man. Just, anyways.
I could not get over that. I still can't. He was bobbing and weaving with the.
It was like he was on Tyson's Punch Out.
Yeah.
And instead of actually,
he was avoiding. Yeah, he was avoiding a punch instead of blocking a laser blast.
Mm-hmm. He was moving his body into the laser.
Yeah.
Like
his lightsaber couldn't move. He just moved it with his whole body.
Right.
Oh, sorry, gosh. Please, if you find that video, hit us up on Twitter and just let us know what you think about it, because I've got obviously a lot of thoughts.
It's fantastic.
But to get back to it, like, she really said she enjoyed it, and she was on a small tour with a group that was there for a special event. So she also said she really enjoyed the lounge. They didn't get to see the singer or anything like that. They do have a captain's table and stuff like that on the cruiser,
which does look cool, but it costs extra.
It does cost a little extra, just like it would on a cruise ship.
Yep.
Like if you want to sit at the captain's table on a cruise ship, congratulations.
That's true.
It's very exclusive, but you have to pay for it. But you get more time with the.
And the thing is, if you don't do that, then you have to share a table with another party.
Right.
So it's not like on a cruise ship where, well, sometimes you do that where you have joint parties, but.
And truthfully, though, like, that's part of the immersive experience, is to interact with other guests, because you all are telling your own story. So, like, it could, like I said, it could be a full-time LARP gig on the ship for 2 days, and that would be exciting for me. That's something that I would totally be okay with.
I agree, but they're not selling that. They're not showing that point.
Not currently.
Like they're not giving us that stuff.
Yes. And why would they not? I don't know. I don't have an answer.
Right.
So don't ask me why.
Yeah.
Stop asking me why.
I'm going to ask you all the questions.
Disney marketing, I'm partially available. You just got to reach out anytime.
Right. As a Star Wars fan, I want this to succeed so bad, because I want it to be what we all thought it was going to be.
Right.
And it still could be that. But because if it flops, I don't know. Like, I mean, it could get cheaper, which would be good because it make it more accessible. But if it gets cheaper because it's bad, is the value there at $3,000? Is the value there at $2,000?
They only have 100 rooms.
Correct. And I did the math for you. I did the math.
They can
so
make hundreds of millions of dollars.
They will make, in a calendar year, assuming full bookings, $100 million from rooms alone. And this is averaging between groups of 2, groups of 4. So about a $5,500 average price after tax and everything like that. $100 million from rooms.
Give me some VR. I'm just kidding.
Like, and that's the thing. The second you lose that, like, if people aren't going to pay that, well, I mean, you got to give people the value. And if the marketing material you're going to use
was what we just saw
doesn't show us what we're getting, as fans, as people who want to do this, like, we want to be like, take my money. When the trailer first came out, I was like, shut up and take my money.
Yeah, when they announced it, take my money.
Amazing. And I still hope it can get there, but with what I'm seeing so far.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm very curious to see what the first few voyages are like. I'm curious to see what some of the YouTube reviews that we get to watch will be like. Because I don't want everything spoiled, but I want to see the inside. I want to see the pros, the cons. Just like, and what's funny is, like, I listen to a bunch of different YouTube videos and stuff like that. And one of my favorites leading up to going to Disney was DFB Guide, because it's the food blog, and I'm obsessed with the food anyway. But they also do tips and do's, don'ts, and all those other lists. And I can't wait until they do the review, because they'll give you cons. Like, they've been honest about everything else. So now, granted that this hotel is a little more pricey than the other hotels that they review and stuff like that, but I imagine they'll make it happen based on the fact that they run their YouTube channel reviewing Disney World.
Well, I wonder if there'll be some sort of media blackout in the first,
I'm sure
over the first month or so. No, like, for the first few, like, if they don't allow you to video or do stuff on the ship.
Oh, maybe.
Like, because they might, they might not want.
How do you not let people take pictures here? That's the whole experience.
Well, pictures might be one thing, but videos might be something like, people walking around, vlogging. I don't know.
I don't know how you stop that, personally. I mean, you're Disney. I guess you could.
I mean, you could put it in the fine print. If people signed a contract that says you will not do this, and then people didn't read the fine print, they could do that.
Well, yeah, but I just don't see that happening, because I'm sure there'll be a pure media trip.
Maybe
2 weeks before the main voyages start, like 2 to 3 weeks. I'm sure mid-February they're going to have their
they took
the
down
soft
they
launch.
took down a video off
Yeah,
YouTube because of the reception.
Honestly, I think somebody from the media could have made something better than what they put out.
Yeah.
I mean, just personally, like,
Yeah, that's true.
like I don't have very good video editing skills, and I would have first started by picking a different guy.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah, the saber training. Yeah.
why? Anyway, moving on.
Right.
I mean, that's all. I don't really have anything super negative to say about it, other than I don't understand why they gave us the content they gave us, and I like until you told me that was even a thing. I didn't even know about it, so it must have came down pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because I usually find stuff.
It was up
own.
for 6 days or a handful, or I think it was 6 days.
I am surprised I did not see it, but then again, maybe the people I was listening to weren't covering it.
Right. I think I saw it on Twitter.
Oh,
But pivoting now to, you want to talk Eclipse trailer or?
Well, real quick, we'll just cover Book of Boba.
Yeah.
I mean, we got the new teaser, and at this point, I told you this before the show started, and you kind of hinted at it during the opening.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see the show.
Yep.
I don't need any more teasers. I mean, if you're not going to give me 2 minutes of new content I haven't seen yet, I don't want to see another teaser where it's 45 seconds, but 40 seconds of it is stuff I've already seen.
Right.
So, like, while I'm excited about it, and don't get me wrong, I'm super excited about it. I don't need one 5-second scene that I haven't seen yet. Again, I just wait till it comes out. Like, unless you're going to open up with, like, I don't know, the weekend before Christmas, like primetime football game or something like that, or the Monday night football game before Christmas, or the Thursday night football game before Christmas, and you're going to give me, like, the opening
Rancor.
scene.
You give me Rancor.
Well, you're going to give me the opening scene for the first episode like Mandalorian did?
Sure.
Fine. Give me that. I'll chew on that for a few days and then wait for it to launch. But don't give me another teaser. I'm done. I'm
Well,
good.
we got Rancor. We got 1 second of that 5 seconds was pretty much confirmation that Rancor.
There is
We're
a Rancor.
going to get a Rancor.
Can't wait.
You know, in the series. So, because the Twilight fella was standing on the trapdoor, and then in the next half second, Fennec and Boba are looking down through the grate.
It's a very similar look, I think.
I've seen that look before.
Yes.
So I put on Twitter, I was like, maybe it's Moochie, which age-wise, it could work. I mean, she would be really old, but and she would have to be stored elsewhere because obviously you had the other Rancor, I forget what it is, the one that gets killed. That we're 5 years after that, so
who knows?
Yeah. Anyways, I agree. Yeah. The just we're 2.5 weeks away. Just let us get to the show.
We're already hyped.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah,
Unless you're going to show me something absolutely brand spanking new.
Which at this point I wouldn't, because it kind of ruins.
Yeah. Well, like,
it ruins the launch.
I said, I wouldn't even mind having the opening scene, like the first 3 minutes of Book of Boba. Boom. Here we go. Awesome. And people would chew on that for a couple weeks and be done. And like then we're at the show.
Yeah, I mean, if you do it around Christmas, it'll be 2 days before.
Because I saw the opening for Mando.
You saw it at Celebration.
6 months prior, and believe me, I was pumped the whole time, without a question.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, if you're gonna give me anything else for it, give me the first 2 minutes, and if not, just radio silence is totally fine. Thank you, Disney.
Yeah, at this point.
Don't screw it up like you did. Never mind. I'm not gonna go back to it.
Anything else?
You know what? I think that'll do it.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, that was a good show. I mean, I feel like we had a good show this time.
Yeah. So,
not that I don't feel like we.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's the Galaxy's Edge bit. I think we spent a bit more time on than I expected.
Yeah.
But it's fun to let the people know kind of what to expect.
Yeah, because I mean, I was very honest. I went in with really, really high expectations, and I'm not gonna ever say I was let down by Star Wars world. Period. Like, I'm just not gonna say that because I wasn't let down. But there was things that I would like to see better. There was things that I didn't expect, and but overall, it was a very happy experience. Like, I mean, I had a blast while I was there. I had a blast with, like we said, Oga's, Savvy's, the rides. Very, like, it was a blast. overall, it was a blast. And will I do it again? Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
And so, and I think that's the big thing. Like, would you do it again? Yes, I'd pay to go do it again, which is all you really need to know as a Star Wars fan looking at something. Would you do it again? Yep. Okay.
Would I do it? Would I do it multiple times a year? I don't know about that, because you would get bored. You would get bored.
Yeah.
Just because it's one section. But
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as with anything, there's goods. There's pros, and there's cons. Even in a world that we all love so much, we're gonna be a little extra.
Oh, you mean we're very critical as fans?
We'd be overly critical.
I've never heard a Star Wars fan be critical of anything before. That's so strange to me. I didn't know that we existed like that.
For sure. So, as we come to close on this episode, we want to thank all of you again for listening. Ask if you're so inclined that if you do enjoy the content, please feel free to share it with friends, family, anybody who you think might enjoy listening to us yap. We appreciate that, and if you do enjoy it, be sure to give a like and subscribe on your platform of choice. And if you're allowed to leave a review, we would be much obliged if you would do so. It really does help the pod out. So with that, for Jedi-John, I'm Obi-Sean.
May the Force be with you.